Hey, good morning, everyone. Meteorologist Steve Caparata here from the home office on this Wednesday morning. So, we've been doing a few of these where I've recorded these from home, but live streaming it this morning. So, good morning, everybody. I did want to bring you an update because we've got this potential of some heavy rainfall over the next few days. We're going to be tracking, also, still kind of keeping an eye on the tropics. So, wanted to kind of walk you through what to expect over the next few days. Still relatively quiet in the area, but we think that's going to be changing over the 12 to 24 hours. So let's kind of get into it now. Point number one, what's new this morning is that the flood watch has been expanded. That now includes areas up through Metro Baton Rouge. So yesterday was a much smaller area where the flood watch was in effect. Now that includes Metro Baton Rouge across the North Shore. And then the Weather Service in Lake Charles has also issued a flood watch for South Central and Southwestern Louisiana. Everywhere that you see the green on the map, this is in effect through Friday evening at 7 o'clock. So we are looking at potentially a few days where we have this locally heavy rainfall. It's not to say it's going to rain 3 days straight, but we've got the threat of rain over the next few days. So we're already seeing showers and storms this morning, increasing south of I-10 closer to the coast. Not much happening around Metro Baton Rouge as of yet, as it stands right now, but you can see some showers and storms that have rolled through parts of Metro New Orleans, some heavier stuff moving into Laplace at this hour, down to near Homa and through Dulac. You can see some of those storms that are approaching Laplace. So we'll be keeping an eye on that as that kind of moves up I-10. If that cluster holds together, that could potentially impact areas near and maybe a little bit south of Baton Rouge over the next couple of hours. So already seeing kind of some of the first showers and storms, and this is really just the beginning of the event. Here's a live look up on False River this morning. Our Skyline view brought to you by Our Lady of the Lake. A little bit gloomy out there, but that's okay, right? The upside to this pattern that we're in right now, hoping that we don't get too much rainfall. The upside is the clouds and the rains are going to give us some heat relief. The last 2 days in Baton Rouge got up to 98 for a high, not a record high, but it has been plenty hot outside. So as it stands right now, 10 o'clock this morning, temperatures mostly in the low to mid 80s, Baton Rouge 85, New Roads 82. We just had that live look, in Gonzales at 84. All right, so let's give you a look at Futurecast now and what to expect today and over the next couple of days. So it's kind of picking up on that idea, the scattered storms being a little more numerous south of I-10 as we advance this. It does show storms continuing to develop and increase through lunchtime. That's noon. See more of those storms building inland this afternoon. That is 3 o'clock. So scattered to numerous showers and storms showing up. And what you'll note here is even this evening and tonight, more rain expected to develop. So that's 6 o'clock this evening. And as we advance this, here we are at 9 o'clock, still looking at scattered rains. And look at this overnight. We continue to see rain develop. So that's 1 a.m. So there's kind of two versions of this model, the high resolution rapid refresh. Some people say the HER. I like to say the HRRR. So now we're going to pick up the longer range version of that model and take it through the overnight. What you see here is scattered showers and storms continue even overnight tonight into Thursday morning. Kind of clues you in. It's a little bit of an atypical pattern because normally in the summer months, most of our rain comes during the afternoon and early evening. Not necessarily going to be the case the next few days. Keep that in mind. Some nighttime, early morning rain will be possible. So that's lunchtime Thursday, scattered showers and storms, and you see them again Thursday afternoon becoming widespread with that potential of some heavy rain. I'm kind of thinking maybe even a little greater potential of some of that heavier rain coming down on Thursday. But of course, the flood watch is in effect. That's Thursday night, still looking at rain coverage. And there you see it head into the pre-dawn hours of Friday. This is where the model run ends, but you can still see some rain moving in off the Gulf of Mexico. So indeed, it's going to be an active pattern over the next few days. What's behind all of this? Well, it's kind of that persistent, that pesky area of low pressure we've been talking about in the western Gulf of Mexico. It's been lingering along the coast of Texas. And so over the next couple of days, it's actually going to drift a little bit eastward. And there's also some moisture moving in from the east. There's just a lot of moisture in place along the northern Gulf Coast. The big question mark as it stands right now is how far inland does that moisture get? You got more confidence in some of the heavier rains coming down along the coast, A little less confidence on how far inland that gets, but certainly the potential is there that even inland locations could get in on it. Now, here's the updated rainfall outlook from the Weather Prediction Center. This is the next 5 days. Takes us all the way through Monday, although for most of us, what we expect to get is basically now through about Friday night, early Saturday morning. So we get into the weekend, we're going to dry out pretty quickly. So really, this is the next few days for most of us. What you see here on the outlook is the Weather Prediction Center is pinpointing a large area of some heavy rain along the Gulf Coast and offshore, where you're getting the shades of red. That's at least 5 inches. Now, it's kind of interesting. If you happen to catch me last night or saw some of my social media posts, I showed you the outlook from the Weather Prediction Center last night, which had gone fairly aggressive with the rainfall. They were showing 4 to 7 inches of rain area wide. The outlook this morning has actually come down a little bit. So the shades of green, for the most part, that's 2 to 3 inches of rain on average. You get into the yellows, that's Hammond, down across Laplace to just north of Morgan City, down to western parts of St. Mary Parish, 3 to 4, and then the orange, that's 4 to 5, where you're getting the red, that's 5 inches plus. So it's actually a little bit lower than what they were showing yesterday afternoon, last night. And what's kind of interesting about that, as we look at some of the actual model guidance, some of the models have actually come in a bit wetter than they were yesterday. So kind of this interesting dichotomy right now. Weather Prediction Centers come down a little bit. Some of the models have actually come up. So the European is showing much of our area getting 3 to 5 inches of rain on into Saturday, with some pockets where it goes a little bit heavier. And then the GFS, as we advance this, is also showing a good chunk of the area getting 2 to 5 inches, but also has some pockets where it goes heavier. So high confidence we're going to get a good soaking over the next few days. It's really just a question of how much and where exactly does the heaviest come down. So we'll need to keep an eye on it. You know, in many areas should be manageable, but where you potentially get some bands setting up and maybe a little bit of training going on, you could start to get some flooding, especially street flooding. We're not talking major flooding at this point. We'll keep an eye on things. All right, so here's another product I wanted to show you. So this is moisture in the atmosphere. As you look at this, the shades of blue especially are the real deep tropical moisture. So we're starting to see some of that move inland today. As we advance this, you'll see that it continues. I'm going to pause here. I forgot to throw my pauses in. So through Friday, we've got plenty of deep tropical moisture showing up along the northern Gulf Coast. But also note, how about that? Actual cold front showing up on the map. So as I now advance it some more, that front should move through by early Saturday, ushering in some drier air that sets the stage for a drier weekend, a really nice weekend. So things should really improve pretty quickly as we get into the weekend. And then the next thing we just kind of keep an eye on into next week is, now this is a week from Friday. So this would be all the way out to Friday, September 13th, where we are on this map right now. A lot of moisture pooling here in the Gulf of Mexico, and I really think it's a combination of kind of that weak low that's in the Gulf right now, and also that tropical wave coming across the Caribbean. So we don't want to sleep on the tropics as we get into next week. As it stands this morning, no major concerns out in the tropics. Yeah, it's been remarkably quiet, and certainly, you know, the seasonal forecast had all called for this really busy season. Thus far, that's been a bust, but we will remind you, a good chunk of the season still ahead. It only takes one. Ask the people in Southeast Texas about Beryl, right? They already had a significant impact. So let's not focus too much on the numbers. Let's just keep an eye out, see what comes. So right now, the system that's moving through the Caribbean, given a 30% chance of development, and that's mostly probably not until it actually gets into the southern Gulf of Mexico. There's one behind it, only a 10% chance, one in the eastern Atlantic, only a 20% chance. So nothing expected to really happen immediately out in the tropics. But let's show you what we're going to be watching. So there's the big picture right now. I'm not going to spend much time out on what's going on in the deep tropics. The eastern Atlantic doesn't look like much to worry about at this point in time. So let's zoom into the Caribbean. So this is the tropical wave that we're tracking, still disorganized right now. In the next day or two, not expected to do a whole lot. Where we start to watch a little more closely is when it emerges in the southern Gulf of Mexico, probably by this weekend. So we're going to have that. And again, we already have all this moisture in the northern Gulf. It looks like by this weekend, some of that gets shoved southward by that cool front. At the same time, we'll have this wave moving in from the east. And then will that eventually, all of that kind of congeal and turn into something? For a couple of days now, some of our model guidance been hinting at the potential next week. So I think that's something just to keep an eye on. And just to kind of hammer home that point, I'll give you a look at what this map is. So this is from the European model ensembles. We've talked about this quite a bit in recent years, but quickly, just to point out, you run the main European model. We rerun it 50 times to get a better idea of uncertainty, tweak the conditions, kind of give us 50 alternate scenarios. And then we can have products like this, where we kind of average out between the main model and those 50 ensembles, what is the probability this map is showing of a tropical storm forming? And what I want you to note here is in the southern Gulf, that shade of yellow, that's the European model at least, or its ensemble saying there's at least a 50% chance of a tropical storm developing in the southern Gulf. I think this runs out, I got to squint at my screen here. This runs all the way through next Thursday, so a little more covers about the next 7 to 8 days. So again, we need to keep an eye on it. We'll have that cool front moving through this weekend, so that's going to block anything from coming our way in the short term. But that front will start to dissipate next week, and if something's just kind of meandering and festering down there in the southern Gulf, then all bets are off. Steering changes with time, and we'll need to keep an eye on it. Now, I want to emphasize the overall level of concern is still low at this point, but also just want to give you a heads up. Don't sleep on the tropics, even though there's no immediate concerns. All right, let's wrap up with the 10-day here. So we've got rain chances today, 70 to 80%. Highs within the next couple of hours could get in the upper 80s to near 90, and then we should get some relief from the clouds and rainfall. And then look at highs Thursday and Friday. Again, that's the upside, assuming we don't get too much rain. A high of 84 Thursday, 82 Friday. But Thursday, I think pretty much everybody gets wet. Friday, I've got a 70% chance. Could have a few lingering showers very early Saturday. But most of your weekend will actually turn out really nice. We'll have humidity dropping. It's going to be a little taste of fall as that front moves through. And I tell you what, looking good for football games this weekend. Now, high school games Friday night, we could still have some rain around, but the college stuff coming up this weekend looks good. And look at the morning lows, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, mid to upper 60s in Baton Rouge. So north of Baton Rouge, we're talking about low 60s. So again, it's going to be a little taste of fall. We'll really enjoy it. Even though it's maybe not a dramatic change, it's definitely going to be noticeable. And then the second half of next week, we start to kind of get a return to normal. Humidity should start to rebound, gets a little bit warmer. And of course, we'll keep an eye on the Gulf of Mexico. All right. As I get ready to wrap up here, let me take a look and see if you guys have any questions. So I've got this open on my Facebook page. I think we might be streaming to the WAFB page too, so I'll try to take a peek there in a second. Try to answer a couple of questions real quick if we have any. So if you have any questions, just pop those in the comments before we wrap this up. All right, let's see. All right. When are y'all gonna know the difference between a cool front and a cold front? Carla says. Yeah, I've put out there cool front on some of the graphics, so whatever you want to call it, but it's gonna be a nice change because, by the way, we just wrapped up our second hottest summer on record in Baton Rouge, meteorological summer, June through August, trailing only last summer, which was the hottest. So any little relief we can get, especially in September when it still runs very hot, often in September, hey, I'm going to take it. I'm not going to complain about it. All right. Doesn't look like I'm not seeing many questions, so we'll probably wrap up here in just a second. Let me take one more peek on my page. All right, good deal. Looks like you guys are pretty quiet this morning. All right, so we'll go ahead and wrap it up. But again, showers and storms starting to increase today. They'll be widespread tomorrow, fairly widespread on Friday. Flood watch now covers basically I-10, I-12 southward through Friday evening. So we are going to be keeping an eye on the potential of some locally heavy rainfall. But after that, we get to enjoy some pretty nice weather as we get into the weekend. So have a great Wednesday, everybody. I'll be on air tonight at 4, 5, 6, and 10. See you then.